Will Morocco's home advantage be enough to propel them to glory? Or will the Super Eagles, led by Victor Osimhen, be able to clinch their fourth African Cup of Nations trophy in Morocco this year? Hello, everyone. My name is Nnaemeka Odenigbo, and this is Football Tempo Night. Yeah. All right, and as usual, I'm not doing this alone, as you already know. I am doing this with.
Hello everyone, it's Jamie in the building. Feel good to be back in the tempo, and I'm so super excited to be here.
I mean, I'm wondering why you're super excited. Arsenal lost. Why are you so energetic? Bro, Arsenal lost.
I was super excited, AFCON is coming, and
Hey.
it's such a beautiful time to watch beautiful games
Arsenal fan and
across
Super Eagles.
Africa.
Arsenal fan and Super Eagles fan. What a time to be alive. Anyway, speaking about the Super Eagles, we'll come to the Premier League. But speaking about the Super Eagles, Super Eagles captain William Troost Ekong recently announced his retirement from international football just a few weeks before the African Cup of Nations tournament in Morocco. This came as a surprise to many, especially because Ekong was named in the provisional squad by Eric Chell that would be executing the tournament in Morocco, and a lot of people, fans, teammates, and even officials expected him to lead the Super Eagles into this particular finals. So Ekong has retired. A lot of surprising reaction to that. We will come to that, but before we do, let's take a quick stop at the Premier League that happened in England over the weekend. Arsenal lost to their now bitter rivals, which wasn't the case before. Aston Villa at Villa Park. Unai Emery and Emiliano Martinez getting one over Arsenal one more time since they both had to part ways with the North London club. So, Jamie, Arsenal, Aston Villa, first game of the weekend, early kickoff,
Early key for.
and boom.
So the thing is, I will speak from a point of view from a lot of Arsenal fans, because naturally, having to see that fixture, you know that it was going to be a very tough game.
one for
Let's even be sincere, because Aston Villa has always been a very stubborn side ever since Emery took charge over that club after he left Arsenal. You realize that every time he gets to face Arsenal, there's always this, sort of pain,
This
like
animosity.
this Arsenal must not win
Their
against my
personal win
club and all
against
of those
and
things. And looking at Arsenal side, you're not playing Aston Villa, because with a complete side, when you look at the current form of Aston Villa, they've been doing amazingly well. This same team did well against Man City. They won. And having to meet Arsenal with a crippled team, your best defenders are not available. You have to like make use of makeshift defenders who have not even had like a run of games in the first team. And he was not surprised that Aston Villa had to win, because from the start of the game till the final whistle, Arsenal didn't take charge. Arsenal didn't, handle the game like
It
we used
was
to know Arsenal to be.
it was a
But also, remember I said last time on our podcast session, I said for you to beat Arsenal, it's going to be very, very tough. You could see how it was for Aston Villa to steal that win at the crust of the game. So it's not something that I expect Arsenal to have lost, but I was expecting a draw. But it's football.
But a lot of people would say that since Naemi became Arsenal coach, and even for me, I started paying attention to this Arsenal Aston Villa situation since Emiliano Martinez moved to Villa after he departed Arsenal. It's been a tussle for Arsenal to be able to beat Villa convincingly, which wasn't originally the case. But there seems to be like a resurgence like Aston Villa and Emery being there, Martinez between the sticks, and they've just gotten a few decent players in. So, do you think Aston Villa is Arsenal's new nemesis when it comes to? Because I remember, I think 2 seasons ago, Arsenal were
At the
there was a
verge.
particular weekend where all the big teams lost. Had Arsenal won that weekend, they would have actually gone on to win the league. But Aston Villa came to the Emirates Stadium, if I'm not mistaken, did the damage, and from there, Arsenal's morale dropped, and Arsenal could no longer go on to win that trophy that season.
I'll get to say that Arsenal has always been very unlucky every time they get to face
Unlucky or inconsistent?
unlucky, because they've been a very consistent team. First 3 seasons, being gaming in, gaming out, getting the wins, but that final luck that you need to use to win the league hasn't been there for Arsenal. And looking at this season, like I said, every time they get to face a team like Aston Villa, there's always that one or two players missing out. And in the Premier League, fatigue would always come into place. But if your key players are not, full players are not on your side, it becomes a very difficult game for you to win. Because that is the game that if Arsenal had played with a full complete squad, Saliba at the back, Gabriel at the
Gabriel at the
back,
back.
Aston Villa wouldn't even get that chance to do
So,
whatever they had to do
so in
over the course of the weekend.
so in other words, Arsenal's the absence of key players for Arsenal was a major reason why you think they lost that game. Okay. So, but let's switch from the friends to attack for a minute now. What is happening to Victor Gyökeres? Because he came in, his move generated a lot of controversy, a lot of reactions since he came in from Sporting CP. The man has barely managed to string up to 7 to 8 goals together all season in all competitions. What do you think is happening to him in that scene? Why is he not bringing in the goals that he was brought in to score? What is happening? Is he having like a Kai Havertz kind of slow start? Because you're seeing a lot of Arsenal fans even calling for Kai to return because apparently Kai knew how to get goals in this team, and Victor has, particularly had to struggle.
So I'm going to say this because Gyökeres is someone I was in full support that Arsenal should bring in. And for every football lovers that know football better, you know that when you change your environment, you come to EPL. It's quite different from every other league. EPL is not a league that you just come and boss in. You have to be physically there. You have to be complete in all of these things. And when you look at the way Arsenal plays, Arsenal don't play to suit the striker. And then you are bringing a number 9, which is
A
used
traditional number 9.
traditional number 9. You have to give him the ball, and all of those things. And you shouldn't be, Arsenal fans shouldn't be so worried that he's not getting the goals.
I mean,
Because when I mean Arsenal fans should not be worried, I mean in a sense that this guy is coming into a new team, new players around him. You have players that like to score, people like Saka, Martinelli, and also he also loves to score goals. But looking at the setup of how Arsenal plays, you don't feed the striker. It is the striker that tries as much as possible to make sure that they also for the ball. And if you look at the style of play of Gyökeres, how he plays, he makes sure that the wingers have the opportunity to enjoy the game. Now, I could remember when people were saying things like, "Oh, 3-man marking Saka, 3-man marking Martinelli." But look at ever since Gyökeres came into that team, how many times have you seen 2 players on Saka when Gyökeres is on the pitch?
so
Now, until when Arsenal itself understand that we have a striker now, let's play to the strength of it. I don't see that happening this season because new setup, new players coming in. Next season we could see more of Gyökeres, but it is too early for any football lovers to say, "Oh, Gyökeres has not delivered," because the league is
you
still
could
on.
say that because I remember when Erling Haaland came, Haaland started banging in goals almost immediately. And his first season, he went home with the Golden Boot, clear of every other
I
competition.
like the
particular
fact that
season.
you use Erling Haaland as a key example, but if you look at the way Manchester City plays, they play to the strength of the striker.
You could
Even this
say-
season,
So prior to Haaland coming in, City had sold Gabriel Jesus to Arsenal, and they were playing a system where, in fact, anybody could play as a top 9. So they were playing that 4-striker narrative. But when Haaland came in, apparently they did a couple of work on the team, and the minute the season resumed, you could see that they were playing for a striker. But with Arsenal, one would expect that they would make similar changes because Gyökeres came in preseason. Why is it taking that long for that transition to happen? Where is it coming from? Is it from the coach? Is that players are not listening?
now if you look at the way Arsenal plays this season, I can see it anywhere to everyone watching me right now. Some of you might not agree, but if Arsenal get to play the exact way that City is playing, Arsenal will be found out. Now, if you look at the way City is playing, locking Alan, locking Foden, that team is dead. But if you look at the way Arsenal is playing, locking Gyökeres, you're doing yourself a deadly harm. Locking Saka, you're doing yourself a deadly harm. Locking Martinelli, you're doing yourself a deadly harm. So I don't expect Mikel Arteta to go in the one-way pattern. Only Gyökeres get the goals.
But I mean,
it's going to show so much effect on the team.
If you're spending 60-something million to get a striker and you're getting a traditional 9, you're not getting a Thierry Henry kind of 9. those are rare in football these days. You're not getting a Luis Suarez kind of 9. You're not getting even an Aguero kind of 9. You know, if you're getting a traditional number 9, as it is known in football, you're supposed to create a system that benefits him and fits him. So getting a top 9 like Victor Gyökeres and still sticking to a system that doesn't favor him. So why do you need to spend 60 million?
I still feel like the addition of Eucharist has upgraded Arsenal, and I was keep saying that Arsenal fans should not even be worried about Eucharist, because Eucharist will still deliver for Arsenal. But the major question is, even if Eucharist delivers for Arsenal, you don't win the league. It's still a problem, because there's a reason why you brought Eucharist in, is to win the league, to win trophies. But also
But can they win the league if he's not scoring goals?
they can also win the league, because if you look at the way Eucharist plays now, we have to analyze this in a lot of ways. I know a lot of fans watching this just wants 3 points, but football is just beyond 3 points now. Every time Eucharist, now I use this game as an example, Aston Villa games. When Eucharist came into the squad second half, and you realize that these two centre back were more focused on him, and then that gives the opportunity for Leandro Trossard to get the goal. Now, when it was not on the field, he had like 3 man, marking Martinelli, marking Saka. That's what an allied striker will bring for you. That movement off the box, creating chance for the wingers to score. But in moments like this, when you watch Arsenal Man City this season, the moment Alan scored that goal, now watch the way Saliba and Gabriel marked out Alan. There was nothing again in City game. And as the season is going on, you would have to find your way, fight your way into getting those 3 points. Champions League, Carabao Cup, FA Cup, now the Premier League. And this everyone in that squad would no matter. Eucharist will deliver for them, Kayaba will deliver for them, even the Merino makeshift now will deliver for them. So
Boy, Marina
everybody.
has been scoring
So
way
I
more
don't think
goals
Arsenal
than even the
should
strikers.
Arsenal should be more focused on Gyökeres is not scoring. Yes, you want him to score, but you should more be focused on when he's on the pitch, what are the things is
Like,
that is. Sure, for example, now same people clamoring for Kayaba will be the same people cursing about the next day, because we all know Kayaba is he can see 10
But he,
chance and just score 2, the
but he
remaining
gets it. He
out.
knows how to get into spaces and get balls. Anyway,
It's also the same thing that Gyökeres knows how to get into spaces. But the question is, what are the creative midfielder doing when Gyökeres is making those runs? When he's putting himself in that position, what are the rest of the players doing? Oh, for example, now look at Saka against Brentford. Your number 9 was in that same box calling for a pass. And at the same time, someone like Bukayo Saka was, I'm not going to pass, I want to score.
and
Now,
he
he
did
was
score.
so very, very lucky that that ball
scored.
had to still went in despite the keeper having a touch on it. That's what we are saying. When the striker is there, what are you guys doing at that time? Someone like Odegaard, you know that you are playing with a good 9, not even one of the best 9 in the world currently. You're not feeding him. You're playing all balls to Saka, but you're the creative midfielder there. And when someone like Eze plays there, you see the difference that this guy play with the mindset of, I have someone up there
Up there,
that if I give him the chance, he will score.
Yeah, very easy. I think he's also a traditional number 10 and number 8. So, moving on from Arsenal and all of their troubles, Everton, Nottingham Forest, Everton 3 against Nottingham Forest, smashed Forest. Burnley lost to Newcastle at St. James's Park. Burnley had a red card. Manchester City, Sunderland. I'm particularly very interested in this game because Sunderland has had a very interesting season. City seems to be back. City is back. 3 points.
How many times people have said City is back.
Oh,
City is back.
they look really back now. 3 points behind Arsenal. Do you think the title race is
I'm
now
still
wide
standing
open?
on my points, I'm still saying that this Manchester City team is not the team that would be able to give Arsenal a run for January. I have
They're
well,
just 3 points behind you.
I know, not even not 3 points. I think 2 points now. I think funny enough, when they came back from the international break, Pep Guardiola was saying, "Oh, now the league started. We saw the effect of it when he played his own game. He didn't get the result. The following week, and his marathon and this almost getting a draw against Fulham. And I just feel like Pep Guardiola would just do everything psychologically to get on Arsenal and keep talking and all. But I don't see City stopping an Arsenal team, because this loss, like majority of football lovers said, I expected this loss against Aston Villa. Many of them. Some people say I expect a draw, but I don't see this loss getting on the skin of Arsenal player. My only fear for Arsenal is that currently have only four defenders
Available defenders.
available. Now, if there's any more injuries coming to that defensive side, then it's a big problem. But also, we've seen Mikel Arteta being able to show that injury or no injury, I can still be able to, not drop within the second position, third position, or fourth position. I'm always going to be in second because he's a guy that knows how to find his way around it. But this City team, nah, don't be shocked because everybody has like they say in Premier League, there's no longer a small team. Everybody has that run of
Everybody has
fixtures.
done.
City will still play Crystal Palace, they'll play Chelsea. But in those run of games,
Speaking about Chelsea.
Arsenal also have some couple of games that they could use to stack in some points.
Speaking about Chelsea, Bournemouth, Chelsea,
Told you, those guys are
0-0.
unserious. They are pretenders.
I mean, a couple of weeks ago, we were all about how Chelsea were title contenders, but apparently that title challenge has fallen apart because
They would never agree that they were title
since
contenders.
they played a 1-1 draw against Arsenal with 10 men, an impressive outing for them, I must say. They have not picked up 3 points, which is actually sad.
I think I remember speaking to a match that and I said, when you play against teams like Arsenal, they make you look so good. And after your next two games, you realize that oh no, what we played against Arsenal was not, and that was the same thing when they played Arsenal. They all felt like they were
my
on top
God.
of the world. We would
You
have
know,
beat
we
Arsenal,
played
would have
better than
done this,
Arsenal, yeah.
and you met someone like Leeds where you need to stack up those points. Then you're losing 3 goals
You're talking
against
about
Leeds.
Grimsby Town.
Leeds. Now imagine I'm coming to Bournemouth, and if they were even lucky that they had to remove that goal, Semedo scored, which was offside. Now it shows that Chelsea team is just they're not ready. They're not ready. They're not ready.
So let's move to the other side of North London. Tottenham versus Brentford. Tottenham 2-0 winners against Brentford on the day. Liverpool versus Leeds United. Leeds United seems to be pulling a lot of big weight, hitting a lot of the big teams where it matters. They beat Chelsea, and now they played a 3-3 draw with defending champions Liverpool, who seem to be having a shaky season.
I think for a team like Liverpool, like I said in our last podcast, that when a team consistently lose, you give your opponent the opportunity to believe that they have the chance to go
to
you know,
yeah.
every time and now. And you could see that against Leeds versus Liverpool, because Liverpool is a team that, have not really been so spectacular. We could see what happened recently. Mo Salah coming out to be so unhappy that he's been sitting on the bench, no respect after serving the club for, a very long time. And, players playing that don't deserve, he feels that don't deserve to play ahead of him and all of those
But I
things.
think I would understand Mo Salah's anger. He had an amazing season last year, won them the league single-handedly. There's no reason why you put your MVP last year on the bench, and
I just
because
feel
Salah is still
I just feel like
he's still up there. He's still very effective as a player.
like the saying that they always say, no player is bigger than the club. No matter how much you've won 100 trophies for a particular club. No, that you could see what Manchester United did to Ronaldo. Someone who had done so well for the club came back. The disrespect that he had to face when Taeyang was in seat. Now Mo Salah is facing the same thing. Albert faced the same thing at Arsenal. After having Arsenal won an FA Cup, after being the captain and all of those, it was So I feel like someone like Son that had to leave Tottenham when the ovation was loud. We all were
all
expecting
expected
that
Salah
to leave,
to take that.
but we didn't see it coming. So whatever Salah is having to go through right now in the Liverpool team, he must understand that he has to put the team first, not his own interest first, because the team is not actually doing so well. And right now,
I mean, if the team is not doing well and he's not playing, he thinks, because I personally, for one, I think Mo Salah literally handed Liverpool the league last season.
yeah, I agree.
He was outstanding. There were games he would just a Mo Salah goal would be the difference between this team and that team. So if you want to win the league, why don't you play somebody like that?
But at the same,
And if it's not like the way you're winning, the way you're not playing him now, you guys are winning. So if you're not winning and he's sitting on the bench, so what's the point of not playing him?
I think at the same time too, Mo Salah must understand that Liverpool are also trying to do life without him. because whether we like it or not, if Mo Salah does not leave in by January, he's probably going to be leaving by the summer window. But we have to understand that Liverpool are also trying to do life without him.
What?
Plus, the board also coming out to say that what, Slot, we are with you. So that's more like a green light to allow Salah knows that no matter what you say,
They
your
said that
interview
they
and
said that
all,
about Eric Ten Hag multiple times. We heard it. We've heard it with Amorim. We will only see how far they can be with him. Brighton played as a 1-1 draw with West Ham, and Crystal Palace edged out Fulham 2-1 at Craven Cottage. Sad one for Fulham after that and brave performance against Manchester City. So from Craven Cottage, we are going to Morocco. The African Cup of Nations is coming up in Morocco. 21st
big
December
talking point on that.
to 18th of January. Morocco, the host nation, of course, they've had an amazing footballing period, and they've had one of the best decades in football in the last 10 years. Got to the semi-finals of the World Cup, the African Player of the Year, men and women's category are both Moroccans. And, it's just been all good for Moroccan football this period. And then they finally get an opportunity with hosting the African Cup of Nations tournament. Morocco has a very strong league.
And also they produce like the current and African best player,
Yeah,
Hakimi.
and it's been an amazing period for Moroccan football. Can they cap this period up? Remember the last time the Super Eagles had an amazing and stellar run in world football, got ranked fifth in 1994, made it to the second round of the World Cup. They won the African Cup of Nations. They won the Olympics. It was an amazing period for the Super Eagles, and it appears Morocco seems to be having that kind of amazing period again. So let's start with Morocco. Hakimi, the big ball, PSG guy, balling from all angles, right back winning the African Football of the Year, which is rare. Defenders rarely get to win that trophy. And aside from that, it's been an amazing season for him at PSG, becoming a European champion with the UEFA Champions League. And of course, do you see him adding the African Cup of Nations trophy to his trophy cabinet?
Well, you see, great things start from a small place, and when you look at countries like Morocco, they've take out time to build and their football, and seeing what they are doing on a global stage is no fluke. Trust me. When you watch Morocco play, you think it's Spain that is playing. So I like to call, I like to call.
they play really good football. I'm not going
I like
to
to call them the Spain, the African Spain, because they play good football. And having taken our time to watch most of what our African countries have been doing on the pitch, looking at Ghana, other countries, you realize that how many countries can be able to go toe to toe with Morocco. And trust me, I know it might be too early because AFCON haven't started yet, but I'm tipping Morocco to get into the final, at least final of this year AFCON. I'm tipping them because they would cause a whole lot of trouble for countries that don't know how to play good football. Now, like I said, they've played with top teams, they've played with top African countries, having seen what they did with Portugal, see what they are doing, and realize that when they get to meet their fellow, African countries on this same level, you realize that not many African countries can stand them or hold ball the way they used to hold the ball when they're on the pitch.
They know how to keep the ball on the ground
So
and play around with
it's a big trouble for other African countries. And when you look at football most times, sorry to say this, you realize that more of the good football play comes from the North African
side.
You watch
The North
Tunisia,
Africans,
you watch Egypt, now you watch Morocco. You realize these guys are just too good.
Algeria even.
So it's a lot of trouble for the countries
So
from the West.
I think
and the rest.
the North Africans really have mastered the art of football on the continent because they have the best leagues from Egypt to Algeria to Morocco, even to Tunisia. And also, they have a lot of players who play, not necessarily a lot of players who play in Europe, but they do have players in Europe. But one of the things that also works for North African teams is the fact that a lot of their players also play in the local league. So I know that in Nigerian football, for example, any player who is not able to make it to Europe from, let's say, a top Nigerian team and ends up in North Africa, that means something. So that league is very developed and very advanced, which is why you see a lot of teams from North Africa, Egypt, Tunisia, Morocco, even Algeria going on to win the CAF Champions League over the years. So North Africa easily has the best leagues. Libya, even before Libya fell apart, they used to have solid teams and they used to compete at the highest level when it comes to African continental football. So Group A for the African Cup of Nations, you have Comoros, Mali, Morocco. Well, when I finish calling this thing, you tell me which group is the group of death. Comoros, Mali, Morocco, and Zambia. Group A. Group B, Angola, Egypt. Egypt is the most successful team in the history of the African Cup of Nations with 7 wins. South Africa, only 1 win from 1996 when they hosted the tournament. Zimbabwe hasn't. They've never won. That's Group B. Angola, Egypt, South Africa, Zimbabwe. Group C, Nigeria, Tanzania, Tunisia, and Uganda. Does this sound like a group of death?
I don't say it. Don't say it.
Group D, Benin, Botswana, DR Congo, Senegal. Group E, Algeria, Burkina Faso, Equatorial Guinea, Sudan. Group F, Cameroon, Gabon, Ivory Coast, Mozambique. So, which for you is the group of death at the AFCON? For me, I think it's Group C. Nigeria, Tanzania, Tunisia, Uganda. I mean, well, it looks... You could easily on paper just say Nigeria and Tunisia would get through, but I mean, there are no underdogs in football these days.
Even Uganda, when you watch them play, I think in the last AFCON, you realize even countries like Angola and the rest of them. I used to say that we don't have that much of a this team don't know how to play football anymore.
Yeah.
All of these
a lot of teams have sat
becoming,
up here.
Becoming so vast when it comes to football. Look at what DR Congo did to Nigeria. Nigeria during the playoff, World Cup playoff, Nigeria could not even, Super Eagles could not hold the ball. And see the way people, I saw a tweet on saying DR Congo playing like they are Barcelona of of Africa, because the way they were distributing the ball, the way they were pressing, the way they
kept the ball on the ground.
You understand that it was
movement.
not just kick and follow; it was proper rudiment of having to play good football.
So I'm gonna have to put you on the spot for Group A: Comoros, Mali, Morocco, Zambia. Give me 2 teams you think are going to make it through.
I would say Mali and Zambia.
Are you whining me? Listen to me again.
Okay.
Comoros, Mali, Zambia, Morocco. Group A.
Group A. Morocco and Mali.
Okay.
Yes.
Group B: Angola, Egypt, South Africa, Zimbabwe. This is even looking like a group of that kind of vibe, But give me 2 teams you think will go through.
South Africa would go through,
and
Angola will go through. Angola will go through. Yes, Angola will go through. I saw what they were trying to. I saw what they were trying to achieve in the last AFCON, and I was pretty impressed. Like it was.
I was impressed with their performance at the last AFCON. But you think Egypt will not come through this group?
Egypt won't.
Egypt is the Real Madrid of African Cup of Nations.
Egypt won't.
What?
Egypt won't.
He thinks Egypt will not make it through.
Egypt won't.
Group B.
South Africa will.
That remains to be seen.
Egypt that you're actually tipping. You realize that when you look at Egypt itself too, after Mo Salah, and their keeper, who has been also very fantastic too for them. Then which other spectacular
that's
players?
That's the thing about North African teams, especially Egypt. Egypt is a special unit. It's the best league on the African continent by far. I mean, according to my own standard. Al Ali, Zamalek, a lot of top teams coming out from the Egyptian league. Egypt has a system that allows a lot of their players stay back in Egypt, play football, and what it helps do for their national team is that it helps them blend. I remember for so many years why CAF created this African Player of the Year based in Africa was just because of a player like Mohamed Zidane. Top baller, played for Egypt, played for Al Ali. He year after year kept.
But if you look at the last AFCON,
3 straight
last
AFCONs,
AFCON,
Mohamed Aboutrika,
this same Egypt
was another person. No, I'm coming. Mohamed Aboutrika was another person. So Egypt not having a lot of popular. The point I'm trying to make is that Egypt not having a lot of popular players or a lot of players who play in Europe rarely serves as a
But
disadvantage.
at the same time, this same Egypt itself in the last AFCON didn't do well.
They got to where? Where did they get in the last?
Even before they got to I think they didn't. I think it was quarter final, the knockout stage.
No.
I think it was the knockout stage. They didn't get to the semi. They didn't get it.
Egypt
I think they get to semi
and
because I know that even before they left
okay,
the
I
group
think
stage, it was through permutations.
the
For this
quarterfinal or
person
round
had
of
to
16.
lose
Yeah.
for them to go. So you could
But
see
the
that
tournament before that, they got to the
there's-
final
there's-
with
yeah.
Senegal.
There's a decline. There's a current decline in the Egypt team. The last AFCON, I was not even impressed with them at all because it took permutations for them to get to the next stage. So it's a problem because right now having to see this team that have it after they have like a good outing in their own standard Angola, I trust they'll go back and say we did not get to this particular stage, but we played good football. Let's build on it.
Okay.
So I want to also say on this say AFCON, I'll not be shocked if most of the big boys that everyone is rooting for doesn't make it into most of the important phases, the knockout stage, the quarterfinals, the semi-finals, or even the finals. So
So Group C, the Nigerian Super Eagles, Tanzania, Tunisia, and the Cranes of Uganda. So Victor.
I know many Nigerians will be so pained with what I'm about to say now because
Don't say it.
trust me, our football has not really been, on the highest level. Looking at what we've been, displaying, in the African Cup of Nations and looking at what
what's
we
the
have
final
recent.
last
We got to the final, but at the end of the day, that same permutations that we are always talking about is always what we are using to get to these places. But I don't really see Nigeria doing, and I'll not be shocked if Nigeria don't even make it out of this group. I would not be surprised if Nigeria don't make it out of this group.
Yeah, prophesied.
Looking by our standard, what we played against Benin Republic, Rwanda, South Africa,
DR Congo.
they are Congo.
So
I'm not
you
tipping
think-
Nigeria to leave this group.
So you think Nigeria will not make it through this?
Nigeria
group
will
C?
struggle against this team. Tanzania. I hope everyone can hear the name, how the name is sounding. Tanzania. Teams that you never even have thought about, like, do they even know what?
You think
the
Nigeria will
round
also
boys-
struggle against?
They will struggle against all the teams on that group.
You think Nigeria will also struggle against?
Nigeria
Uganda?
will struggle against all the teams in that group. Everybody should mark my words.
I mean, I get that.
If we get 3 points, no, we dey thank God. If we get 3 points, no, we thank God. It's going to be that same with super chicken, super eagles, this and that. We know that's the word. That's what we did when we went to the final. It was still the same permutation. God, I beg, must it be God? God, no, we win. God, no. Other people know sabi God.
Not only on God, no. Anyway,
I don't see them leaving that group. Trust me, Nnaemeka.
Aye.
I'm not tipping Nigeria in this year AFCON now.
I mean,
Plus, looking at what we've provided on the provincial list of players that we want to take, I
mean,
don't
we'll get
want
to that
us
list.
to even go there because
We'll get to that
the
list.
names I'm seeing they are not even impressive.
We'll get to that list. So you don't see Nigeria leaving this
I don't
group
see
with
Nigeria.
Tanzania, Tunisia, and Uganda. So who
don't-
do you think will qualify?
I would give it to Tunisia, and I'll also give it to underdog team to lead that group.
I don't think I agree with you, but I mean, it's your opinion. Group D: Benin Republic, Botswana, DR Congo, Senegal.
I think this looks like more like the group of death. I'll give Senegal and I'll give Benin Republic.
Yeah.
DR Congo, I'm so sorry. Nah. I'll give Senegal and I'll give
That DRC team that DRC team that I watched against Nigeria, I think they'll make it out of this.
I'll
group.
give Senegal.
I think
and I'll
that-
give Benin Republic because they have someone who knows how to, come out of groups like this. General. He's going to surely bring out.
Massive
Benin
respect
Republic.
to Benin Republic, but I think unless Senegal has a bad tournament, I think DR Congo is my number one candidate to lead this group. They'll qualify. Group E: Algeria, Burkina Faso, Equatorial Guinea, and North African giants Sudan.
Algeria for me and Guinea.
Equatorial Guinea.
Yeah, Guinea.
You don't think Burkina Faso
Nah,
and Sudan has what it takes?
Nah, I don't think.
Finally, Group F: Cameroon, Gabon, Ivory Coast, and Mozambique.
I think this should be very very easy. Cote d'Ivoire would go through, and
That is solid side,
and
and they're defending champions.
and also looking at the other teams that they I think one of the countries that you mentioned,
Cameroon,
Cameroon, they've
Gabon,
not
and
really been
Mozambique.
very impressive. Cameroon has not really been impressive. But I hope with the whole release list, Onana didn't make the list. So let's see if having Onana not on the list, if they will probably go for, but I'll tip them also to leave that goal. But it's just more like a slight tipping because it's not been fantastic for me. Cameroonian has not really been that,
Yeah,
that's very
they've
team
not
that
been,
you obviously want to root.
they've not been super impressive. Now, let's get to the Super Eagles. Super Eagles captain Julian Tristecom recently announced his retirement from national team football, which came as a surprise to very many people. Now, there have been insinuations in some quarters of the media that it had to do with him leading the team and speaking out against the poor treatment that they got during their qualifying for the World Cup. And of course, we all remember that before that final match against the DRC in Morocco, we had news that the players had boycotted training and they were not going to play against DRC, and it was later sorted out, and he announced it on social media. So it's very surprising that finally, after going through that, and of course, he made the provincial list for Eric Chell in that team. He has now come out to say that he will no longer be playing for the national team just a few weeks to a major tournament like AFCON. What is going on? Why is William Troost-Ekong not going to lead the Super Eagles to Morocco as expected by many? He was the most valuable player for Nigeria, and not just Nigeria, was the MVP for the entire AFCON tournament in the last
First
tournament.
defender to be able to score 5
First
goals.
defender to, I mean,
As-
defenders are having a free day. They're having an amazing period in African football. And a defender was an MVP in the last tournament, and the defender is now the African Footballer of the Year. And I believe he's the first. I stand to be corrected. But William Troost-Ekong, what happened there?
I just really feel like whatever had happened, would always happen because having to see how the outcome of what happened when we were preparing for World Cup qualifiers, and like news have been flying around saying, oh, the people in the glass house were not happy with the situation, that they felt like, oh, they should not have boycotted for the football training and all of those things while preparing for such hefty tournaments. But also at the same time, when you look at this, I think the system in the countries, the football system in Nigeria is being, I don't know, I don't even know the right word to use. I just feel like it's very bad because it's never wrong for players to come out to say, pay us our money.
Why are
Give
players
us-
even owed in the
because
first place?
why should you even be owing players? These players come in, they give in their best. Many of these players even leave with injuries back to their club side.
And their club
You know-
treats them.
So I really don't know why, after these guys coming out to ask for they didn't force you to promise them. You promise them this amount of money and you don't get to fulfill your promise, then you expect them to play. It does not work that way now. And having to see that people are saying the reason why this guy had to retire is because of that issue, then you know that, I'm sorry, the footballist system in this country is just, we
So,
need strong deliverance.
It was very sad hearing that he had retired. I mean, massive guy, 83 caps for the Super Eagles, Olympic silver medalist in Rio 2016, silver medalist AFCON 2023. He has been part of this team for 10 years, made his debut under Stephen Keshi in 2015. He was a key member of the Oyibo War with Leon Balogun, who was also rumored to have fallen out of favor with the authorities at the Glass House because of his conduct and his resistance to certain practices that were going on within Nigerian football. I genuinely cannot understand why it's a norm in Nigerian football, the NFF, to owe not just coaches but also players. It doesn't make sense if a player goes for a tournament, and the worst part is that this monies were released. Funding comes in from FIFA, the Nigerian government releases funds. I don't think they have any reason whatsoever to actually owe players to the point where you have to now owe players a few days or a few hours to a crucial match. It's quite embarrassing, and more embarrassing because when we were looking at pictures from the FIFA World Cup that happened in the United States, we saw pictures of the Nigerian Football Federation president smiling. I wonder what's funny. He was smiling. Like waiting funny, qualifiers for World Cup, they smile, they do selfie. It just shows what their priority list are. It's very disturbing and to say the least.
And I really hope we really get it right, because if we don't,
I don't.
we don't get it right in the next 10 years,
I
then
don't think we're
we
ever
should
going to
forget
get.
football as one of those things that brings joy to the people.
I actually do not think we'll ever get it right when it comes to Nigerian football. Look, every time you see the Nigerian, I think since the 2000s, which is when I started following football very closely, every time you see a Nigerian team doing well in a major tournament, do you understand why Nigerian players pray at the beginning and at the middle of and then at the end of it? It's because my God had been there. I'm real.
I need to ring bell for that.
God has been there. And I'm going to explain why I said that. During the qualification stages for the 2002 World Cup, recently an interview made it to the internet where Sunday Olise, who was the captain of the team prior to going to that team going to the 2002 World Cup in Korea, Japan, came out to discuss the problems that the team were having. It was still related to
What's currently happening now?
Now, this is a team that 2002 said this is a team that had you had a couple of players from the 94-96 era, the AFCON champions, the Olympic gold medalists, and of course, you also had a couple of players, Olise himself, JJ Okocha, Kanu Nwankwo, who were finalists in the last AFCON in 2000. He talked about the same issue. He talked about players being owed salary. He talked about the senior players having to rally around. He also talked about how he was axed from the team because he was the captain at that point and he had to lead a resistance to make sure that these younger players got their money. We're seeing the same thing repeating all over again. In 2006, we had the similar issue. We didn't qualify for the World Cup in Germany. In 2010, last minute they had to bring in Lars Lagerback and we had a Lagerback World Cup. 2014, luckily we had the big boss Stephen Keshi. We had a decent period that period. And we also had these issues because I remember one of the first things Amaji Pinnick did when he became an FF president was he sacked Stephen Keshi. That was when the team started even falling apart. Stephen Keshi had to leave. They brought in Samson Siasia. No, not Siasia. Sondo Olise. And it was a show of shame.
Disaster.
He left. He came into the team, tore the team apart. His rhetorics were not working well with a lot of the players. Mikel started having issues. Vincent Enyama was forcefully retired. Gave the captain's armband to Ahmed Musa. All that chaos, and since then it's never been the same with the team. So when you see them gather to pray, I mean, check out the fact that in between all of this chaos and all of this turmoil, they've since the early 2000s, of course, as I know it, because if you listen to a lot of players also from the 90s era, I was listening to Ida Peter Said, who was the former Super Eagles goalkeeper at one point in time. He was talking about the 80s and the 90s. He was also complaining about the same thing. So the reason why they gather to pray sometimes is because my God had the day. Because if you leave it to the federation and the guys who are in charge, they will do nothing to provide the basic amenities that they are supposed. Sometimes national team they get a problem with kits. And you have a kit sponsorship deal with top brands, Adidas, Nike, Puma, depending on which particular brand you're signed on to for that particular period of time. And we have issues down to kits. It's unfortunate that
Big
so I don't see Nigerian football getting it right anytime soon. Arsenal will win league before Nigerian football better. And I'm not even capping. Arsenal will win the league.
Arsenal should win the league
before Nigerian football
I
gets
beg.
better. Because Arsenal at least is progressively working towards solving their own problems. But here in Nigeria, every year we're going back to the drawing board. I wonder who created this.
Repete.
It's just the same set of people, rinse and repeat. But I mean, away from my rant, we're going to look at the AFCON list for the Nigerian national team. Madiko Okoye, goalkeepers. I'm going to call out the list now. Goalkeepers: Madiko Okoye, Amas Obasogi, Francis Uzoho. Making it back to that list. Ebenezer Harcourt, Stanley Wabili, who is the first choice. Sorry, who is automatically the first choice keeper for this team. Started from his Arsenal in the last tournament in the Ivory Coast. Adebayo Adeleye. That's for the goalkeeping division. Give me 3 names that I think will make it.
I think Adebayo Adele, Nwambali, and Maduka Okoye.
Oh, you think was all make
Nah, was all.
Okay. So defenders: Felix Ago, Zaidu Sanusi, William Troost Ekong, which is why this was very controversial. Ekong name was Ekong had his name on the list, but sadly he will no longer be available for selection because he has announced his retirement. Ajayi Oluwasemilogo, Bryce Osayi Samuel, Bruno Nemechi, Chiedozie Awazim, Calvin Bassi, Ola Aina, Igo Obu, Ryan Alebiosu, Adeleke Adekunle, and Emmanuel Michael. For midfielders, Wilfred Ndidi, Frank Oneka, Al Hassan Yusuf, Alex Iwobi, Fisayo Dele Bashiru, Rafael Onyedika, Chrysanthus Uche, the Crystal Ballers guy, Ebenezer Akin Samiro, Tochukwu Nadi, Usman Mohammed, Peter Abba, and Tom Dele Bashiru. For forwards, star-studded, of course. Not that it would make much of a difference. Ademola Lookman, Victor Osimhen, Tolu Arokadari, Samuel Chukwueze, Moses Simon, Adams Akko, Chidera Ejuke, Olakunle Olusegun, Sadiq Kumar, surprised to see him on this list, Kelechi Iheanacho, Taiwo Awoniyi, Victor Boniface, Paul Onachu, Terry Murphy, Nathan Teller, Cyril Dessers. I think this guy should be given a chance with the Super Eagles. Dessers, they always use him for qualifiers, and when it comes to proper games, he never gets the call. Abdurrashid Shehu, Rafiu Drosimi, Ekesin Okorwe, Chisom Oji, Philip Otele, Ikwemesi Chukwubikem, Salim Fago.
So I might not even say so much about this list. I'm waiting for when this list would be cut down, but they're like names that I'm seeing that I actually don't. I'm even surprised that they were even called.
Names like
Simon, and names like Ndidi. I don't know what Ndidi is doing on the list.
Ndidi is obviously going to be the team captain, especially now that Ekong has retired.
They might give it to Alex Iwobi. Yeah, I actually don't know
think
what
Iwobi has ended.
I don't think Ndidi should be on this list again. I don't think Moses Simon should be on this list because I don't understand. Because judging by their performance in the last few tournaments that we've played, you want consistent player that will deliver on it constantly. You don't want players that he didn't play well last AFCON. Like he played. We should move on from these players. Move on from this. They have not been in the D again after that injury he had. He's never been the same. So I think we should move on from players like this. Fantastic players, but I don't.
You think they passed their prime?
Even Iheanacho himself.
That's one name I was actually struggling to understand why he was on the list. I was struggling to understand why Kelechi Iheanacho was on the list because he has not had an impressive run of form for a couple of years now. He's been going from club to club, from England to Spain to in Seville, and now he's in Celtic, reunited with his former Leicester City manager Brendan Rodgers. But that hasn't also been going very well for him. So I'm going to put you on the spot now. Let's zero it down. AFCON, I want you to give me who you think will be winners. Just one team. Who do you think will win the African Cup of Nations Morocco 2025?
I'll give it to Morocco. I tip them to win this year
African Cup of Nations
because they were very close in the last one, and I tip them for this one.
Your surprise team for this tournament, who do you think will be the dark horses that will surprise everybody?
Angola.
Your nominee for MVP player of the tournament?
MVP player of the tournament, very, very tough one. I probably would give it to Hakimi. I'll give it to Hakimi.
Interesting. I mean,
because I expect that this, having to after this award of becoming African best should give him more, boost. So wanting to taste more of the.
So your winner, Morocco, MVP, Hakimi. Your dark horses, you'd go for Angola. Your top goal scorer?
Top goal scorer, I'll give it to Victor Osimhen.
Incredible. That's interesting. Flop of the tournament team.
Flop of the tournament team. DR Congo.
Oh wow, I
DR Congo.
don't agree. But so yeah, so that's your roll
Mhm.
call for um AFCON 2025. So I'm just going to put this out a quick AFCON trivia. The most successful team in the history of the African Cup of Nations. Egypt has 7 trophies. Of course, they are the most successful teams, the Pharaohs of Egypt. Those Pharaohs, he said, you don't want to see no more. You're going to continue seeing them. 7 times champions of the African Cup of Nations, 1957, 1959, 1986, 1998, 2006, 2008, and of course, their last time they won was in 2010. Cameroon, the second most successful team, 5 times. They are that Cameroonian team, solid guys, 1984, 1988, 2000 when they won it against Nigeria, 2002, they won it back to back, and 2017. Ghana, our Jollof Rice
Our
brothers,
brothers.
our brothers. How well do you see Ghana doing in this tournament?
Well, I think they might get into the knockout stage, but round of 16.
Charlie,
Just round of
round of
16.
16 for you, bro. So 4 times champions, the third most successful team in the tournament's history, 1963, 1965, 1978, and the last time they won it, 1982. See, so they won me Ghana from the Nations Cup. Chai. Nigeria, 1980, 1994, and of course, the last time we won it was in 2013. Ivory Coast, 1992, 2015, and 2023. So the last two Ivorian wins came in this century, in the 21st century. Kudos to them, top team. So most successful teams in AFCON history. This has been our show, the size of our show. We looked at the African Cup of Nations in detail. We analyzed it. We talked about your expected surprises, the dark horses, expected flop of the tournament, and we also talked about expectations and what we think about every team that will be performing in this African Cup of Nations. And well, of course, we also looked at the Premier League that just happened over the weekend. So I'm going to ask you 2 questions before we wrap it up. The first question is, where do you see Super Eagles getting to in this tournament? You've said you don't expect them to have an amazing. Oh, you've said you don't see them getting through the group stage. I mean, are you not contradicting yourself? If they're not getting through the group stage, how many goals to see me one score go make and carry golden boot?
Yeah, you could have 5 goals. Look at what Econ did. He had 5 goals. And when you,
the final.
we got to the final, but when you look at that, with that AFCON that happened, you expect that you probably see 6, 7, 8 goals, but this is African football, where we don't get to see a lot of goals. So in that same group, it could score 2, 2, 2, and we are playing draw, draw,
I will not
draw.
go to qualify.
You get so
Okay.
it's one of those things.
Okay. All right. So I'm just going to leave it there. Man U Wolves, who going?
Man U Wolves. I look into the camera and I'm saying this boldly.
Prophesy.
Wolves 2, Man U 0. This is not banter. Oh.
Prophet, don't
This is
prophesy.
not banter. Oh. Man U
Prophet, don't
fans.
prosify.
This is not.
Prophet, don't
This is
prosify.
not. This is not banter. Oh. You are not winning against Wolves. You are not winning. If you cannot do it, against your last team. You now want to do it against Wolves. It's not possible now. You can't give what you don't have.
Hey, yeah.
You don't have W. You want to now come and be promising your fans D and L. That's it.
Anyway, so that's the size of our show. This edition, Football Tempo Nigeria. Remember, my name is Nnaemeka Odenigbo, and I didn't do this alone. I did it with.
My name is Jamie.
And of course, this show is produced, packaged, and presented to you by Dynamite Communications at the Dynamite Space. So till next time, see you guys.